Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about bottle cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In this bulletin, Prime Minister hints at the foundation of his political movement. People's Democratic Party has no manifesto, and fire destroys court's warehouse in Lautoka. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate, and this is FBC News. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has indicated for the first time that the 2013 Constitution will be the foundation of his political movement. Bainimarama has hinted at some other aspects of his political movement, promising to reveal more soon. Apisalame Doka has more on the story.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says the coming weeks and months promises to be challenging and immensely exciting for all Fijians.
As you know, in some weeks, I will stand down from the military and a job I have dearly loved. I will be forming a political movement, and I will be asking every Fijian, no matter who they are, to join me. Together, our task will be to fight a battle of ideas, to determine the future of our nation. And in that battle of ideas, we intend to win.
Bainimarama says his political movement will only support what's good for all Fijians.
We will offer a fresh vision for every Fijian and humbly seek their support. That vision will be laid out in detail during the election campaign. But I can tell you now that its foundation will be continuing stability, a healthy and vigorous economy, and a climate that encourages new investment to create and sustain. The foundation of this stability, ladies and gentlemen, is the new Fijian Constitution, which amongst other things creates common and equal citizenry, a prerequisite to any modern and successful nation state.
Prime Minister says Fiji cannot deviate from the national important goals that we have set ourselves. He says government has created a level playing field for every Fijian child through the free education scheme.
We are building a smarter country. We are delivering basic services like electricity and water to many ordinary Fijians for the first time. Our nation stands proud and tall. But these opportunities are just a start. We must build on the progress we have made so far to take Fiji to much greater heights, to be the preeminent Pacific nation, a beacon of hope and an example to the rest of the world.
The Prime Minister says all that's being done is also empowering our youths to build individual and national capacity and to have wise leaders to take Fiji forward. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
Only 7 months to go until the general elections in the country's newest political party, the People's Democratic Party, like all other current parties, is still refusing to talk about its manifesto. Speaking on FBC's For the Record show last night, PDP Interim General Secretary Satnarayan says the party has yet to finalize this all-important policy document. Eleanor Tarangai reports.
A year after the People's Democratic Party was formed, it's still working on the most crucial document for any political party.
We are formulating our manifesto. We already have it, but it's not for public consumption right at this time.
Satnarayan won't reveal the basics of the party's manifesto.
Right now, we do not want to reveal everything on our manifesto, like I said. We want this manifesto to be launched officially and accepted by our members before we roll it out to the general public.
The party aims to launch its manifesto in May, only 3 months before the elections. Despite the short time frame, the Interim General Secretary says the PDP will move at its own pace.
We are not dictated by the time. We are not dictated by 8 months or 6 months timeline. We are dictated by the will of the people.
Narayan admits time is running out for the party, but it's counting on its support base.
We don't have much time, but we depend on the goodwill and support of the people. the people of the nation are looking at a party like ours. We are a multiracial party. We appeal to all, the women, the youth, and of course we are a multiracial party in our composition. So we depend on the people and the support on the ground.
The National Convention in May will also see the official launching of the party and the election of office holders. Eleanor Turangaibiu, FBC News.
Meanwhile, following the shocking resignation of party spokesperson Nirmal Singh yesterday, party officials are refusing to comment. Singh cited the interference of unionists Daniel Orai and Felix Anthony as reasons for his resignation. Calls made to Anthony's phone were diverted. Orai referred our questions to party president Andi Siviangoro. Calls made to her mobile were switched off. Customs officials have intercepted an elderly man carrying more than 7.5 kilograms of crystal-like substance believed to be methamphetamine at the Nandi International Airport. The 60-year-old suspect traveling on an American passport arrived from Hong Kong yesterday. Crystal-like substance were found concealed in a black plastic, stacked in a false wall around his suitcase during an inspection. Initial results from tests indicate the substance contained methamphetamine. The matter has been referred to police for further investigations. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Christopher Pride, has withdrawn charges against 6 trade unionists who were charged in relation to an alleged strike at Sheraton Fiji Resort on New Year's Eve. Daniel Orai, Penny Finau, Sikeli Ngavindi, Issei Levula, Merawai Vodevode, and Akariva Nawai are members of the National Union of Hospitality, Catering and Tourism Industries Employees Union. They were charged in the Nandi Magistrates Court under provisions in the Employment Relations Promulgation 2007. Pride says he has reviewed charges and the evidence is satisfied no offence was committed, and they will be filing for withdrawal when the case is called in court on March 17th. About 300 employees of the 3 Sheraton resorts on Denarau Island in Nandi went on strike on New Year's Eve over work conditions. The Labour Ministry and police are investigating the incident. The court's warehouse in Marine Drive, Lautoka, has been destroyed by fire. NFA Chief Executive John O'Connor says they were alerted by one of the employees at about 11 a.m. today. The warehouse was fully engulfed when the firefighters reached the scene, and the men had problems fighting the blaze due to the location. The magnitude of the fire and strong winds meant help had to be brought in from the Bar and Nandi fire stations. O'Connor says their priority was to contain the fire within the warehouse and not let it spread to nearby factories and buildings. 2 families are now homeless after a fire gutted their homes this morning. The fire broke out in one of the corrugated iron homes and spread to the second home within minutes at Cunningham Stage 4 outside Suva. According to witnesses, the occupants of the second home had to run for their lives when their house caught fire. National Fire Authority CEO John O'Connor says it would have been a real disaster if they were notified late of the fire incident. Firefighters managed to stop the fire from spreading to other homes.
When we arrived, the 2 buildings were already on fire, so the priority for the firefighting was to make sure that we contain the fire within the buildings that were already on fire and prevent it from spreading to other properties. And we are happy that the firefighters were able to achieve that outcome successfully this morning.
Police and fire authorities are investigating the cause of the blaze. New tax deduction system kicks in this year. Details after the break.
Today FM is #1 here in Singapore.
We like Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Subang.
Loto kasi they love today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Individual taxpayers do not have to lodge their tax returns with the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority from this year. However, despite this streamlined process, individuals are still turning up to FIRCA with their P41 tax return forms. Ritika Pratap explains how it's all done now.
Under the new system, no more collecting P41 slips and filing tax returns. All tax payments are deducted at source, or in simple terms, all your tax work is done by your employer.
Now POIs of tax is coming. Now the responsibility of employers to make sure that they do lodge the correct amount of tax and payment as well. And the payment of tax has to be correct as per the tax bill. Nothing more, nothing less. Hence, the need to lodge return is redundant, given the deduction being made to FOCA by the employer is 100% correct.
From this year, the exact tax deduction of every eligible employee has to be calculated and paid for by the employer every month. The tax office boss, Chitoko Tikolevu, says there is no need to do annual lodgements anymore.
Whatever deduction is made by the employer should be the correct amount. So we've been educating the employer, make sure that they follow the tax table very, very slowly and accurately, so that they know more over deduction or under deduction. Must make sure that they deduct the correct amount of tax.
This isn't the end. Eventually, the same process will be applied across all forms of tax payments.
Once we finish with individuals, we'll also go back to other type of tax, company taxes, sole traders, so that they will also be feeling at their own, and whatever they assess is the correct tax, and they'll declare that it's the right amount. And for individuals, the allowance has been taken away and all that.
So no more scratching the head and filling in long tax return forms. Now your boss has to do all this for you. Officers will also be visiting workplaces to see that the new system is fully understood and properly applied. In the meantime, FOCA manpower that vetted and processed the annual returns will be diverted to other work. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
22 young men and women are undergoing a recently established high-skills training course for officer cadets in the Fiji Police Force. The special training that was introduced last year grooms future leaders of the force. Edwin Nund reports.
These 22 recruits were hand-picked for advanced training from over 100 new cadets.
Well, at the moment, what we are doing, we're pulling people from the lower hierarchy and placing them on upper hierarchy. So there's a gap. When we talk about the gap, there's a gap between the knowledge and the principles of policing.
In previous years, all senior posts were filled via promotion. This didn't always mean the best man or woman filled in the vacancies. The Officer Cadet program identifies men and women who have the potential to take on senior roles with a modern sense of policing and a keen understanding of the laws that guide the force.
Cadet means giving the training right from the constable level going up to the inspector level. So when we talk about these gaps are of knowing your rights, knowing your authorities, interpreting the legislation and the powers of police contained in the legislation.
It's an important year for the force, as it is for the whole of Fiji, and the acting commissioner is adamant there is no room for sloppiness. The force is going through some major changes with regards to its core functions. These men and women will set the bar for professionalism, diligence and accountability. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
In yet another first, FBCTV has started the South Pacific region's first daily simulcast music show. Young music lovers now have the luxury of not only watching the show on television, but also listening to the show at the same time on Fiji's most popular contemporary English music station. Erelina Nawandra reports on the groundbreaking Today FM Daily Hit List music show.
Temporary Top 40 weekly music countdowns have been available on television for a while now, but it's not something that's been available on a daily basis, and certainly not something that you could listen to on radio at the same time.
The Today FM Hit List is Fiji's first ever simulcast radio show, where we have what happens on radio. You can actually get to see it on TV as well. So our listeners, when they listen to their favorite song on Today FM on radio, they also get the chance at the same time to watch the video clip for that favorite song that they have, that they're listening to on radio. They can watch the video clip on TV as well.
Bolo Binaka, welcome to the Today FM Hit List.
A chance to vote for your favorite song daily. The show promises the latest songs for the public to enjoy.
For our listeners and the viewers watching FBCTV, if they want their video clip up, if they want to hear their favorite song on radio, as well as see the video for their favorite song, all they need to do for us is contact us. They can do that by emailing us They can also text us. They can also look up Today FM on Facebook, drop their dedications there. They can also call us up on radio.
So get ready to be amazed. Okay, we're gonna get started.
The Today FM Daily Hit List simulcast is played at 5:30 p.m. every weekdays, not only entertain the youth, but to also encourage them to stay on and watch FBCTV National News at 6 p.m. Aurelia Nawandra, FBC News.
Sports time now, and here's Jamie with the latest.
Good evening. Coming up tonight, Ben Ryan demands perfection as game day approaches and American football takes over. Staff at the US Embassy took time out to host Fijians to the Super Bowl played in New York today. That's coming up.
Gonga elambasa Mbula FM number 2 na sere.
Ndo talita kana borong na Mbula FM number 2 na sere su.
Au wait to garaki au rebati ko ni stima au ndo talita kana borong na Mbula.
Bola bina Fiji, Bola FM number 2 singa toka. Bola bina era roga. Bola FM number 2 tikoga.
Bola FM number 2 na sere.
Welcome back to FBC Sports. It was back to training for the Fiji Sevens team in New Zealand today. Coach Ben Ryan has been working overtime to perfect play for his men and wants nothing short of perfection before Friday. Indra Singh has the latest from Wellington.
The HSBC Wellington Sevens news coverage is brought to you in conjunction with Skipper Tuna, better taste, better value, and Fiji Airways.
Barking out instructions is becoming a daily routine for the coach.
So we just got to be clever at decisions at breakdowns. Don't leave ourselves with too many people in a breakdown and too much space to defend against. So just stuff like that, decisions that the boys are making and me giving them that opportunity in training to practice.
He has changed his style of training, and the national slide only had one session today, and that too near a zoo surrounded by a lion's den.
Yeah, tomorrow is a long day, so a good gym session in the morning, and then we've got a session against Wales with some training before and after as well. So that's a tough day for them and a long day, and then we're on to single sessions on Wednesday and Thursday before we get going. And
young and old amongst the media have their eyes on Ryan and his brigade. This sure shows something is worthwhile to follow this bunch of gladiators from the Sevens Mad Nation.
Hits and the tempo of the game. When you play against the top 2 or 3 sides, it's like that. And yeah, DJ's not wrong, you know. And I've been in tournaments where you play a team twice in the group and in the final, but we're just concentrating on that first game, and we want a really good performance.
Coach Ben Ryan is taking his side through a tough training session, working on defence, which has been a weakness for Fiji in recent time. What he conjures up in the next 3 days will be very interesting to see. Currently behind me, as he takes the team through his phases, only 4 days remain before the start of the Wellington Sevens. For FBC Sports in Wellington, I'm Indra Singh.
Fiji Sevens rep Benito Masilevu had a debut that ended in despair in 2013 and is now trying to put this behind him. He made his international debut for Fiji in Wellington last year, where the side played in the dreaded bowl competition. Here's Indra Singh again, who caught up with Masilevu.
History repeats itself for this man.
According to the new coach, it's different for me to come this year. I know, like this last year, I was very nervous because it was my first time. But this week will be a totally different story.
It was the same ground that he had his first training run a year ago, and memories are fresh.
I remember coming into this ground at the first time, this same ground, and making my first run here. And now I'm running again in this same ground with this same team. As I can see, this training this afternoon, it was very good.
Masilevu has been converted to hooker from his wing position by coach Ben Ryan, something which has delighted the Lomai VT club rep.
I was here as a wing last year, and this year I'm running in as a hook. It's kind of different job altogether. So I'm looking forward to
to make a big change and a big impact for Fiji Sevens.
So it's all up to this qualified sports teacher to turn the table from a miserable debut, which is now a distant memory, and Masilevu is sure out to make a lot of amends. Interesting, FBC Sports.
The tournament hype has surely started in the Windy City. With only 4 days before the start of the tournament, all teams were busy at training today. Coaches are now putting in the final touches before the kick-off on Friday. There is also hype with fans in Wellington who just want to see teams get into action at the Westpac Stadium. Meanwhile, Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan says he and the team have the people of Fiji affected by the floods last week in their thoughts. He says with most players from the areas affected, they wanted the people of Fiji to know the team is thinking of them and their families.
We got into Nandi and the flooding had begun then, and I saw what was happening. So I hope everyone's safe, and our prayers and wishes are with them, that everybody makes sure that they look after themselves and stay safe in what's a difficult time in the islands.
The HSBC Wellington Sevens news coverage was brought to you in conjunction with Skipper Tuna, better taste, better value, and Fiji Airways.
Well, the Wellington Sevens this weekend will be the focus for most sporting fans in Fiji. However, today belonged to the Americans, as fans of their beloved Super Bowl final gathered in all parts of the world to enjoy the spectacle. As Elena MacDonald reports, Fiji was no exception.
This year's Super Bowl belonged to the Seattle Seahawks, thumping the Denver Broncos 43-8 in New York. But for fans in Fiji who got together at the U.S. Embassy, today's game meant a little more than just a win.
Sportsmanship, it's cross-cultural sharing. This is what American football is and means. Sharing the rules, it's what you all have done with me. When I go to a Sevens game, there's always someone sitting with me explaining the rules. I have learned rugby here, and we try to do the same with you all. When you tell people what you're doing and why, explain the sport, that's how you develop your fan base. And of course, to share the commercials and the entertainment. That's a huge part of the Super Bowl.
For others, the big game was all about getting nostalgic.
I do, and I've been in touch with friends on Facebook, and so I have a lot of friends in Seattle watching the game on TV at friends' house. Then some of my buddies are also at the game in New York, so it's been great to share the experience, from Fiji with them and hear their perceptions about the game in the U.S.
The concept of the sport did interest a few locals, at least for a little while.
I don't think anyone could convert any of you to American football from rugby, but I think we've been successful in luring you away for a few minutes. We had a great turnout here today, a lot of cheering for both sides, a lot of attention paid to the commercial side, and it was fun.
Seattle's relentless defense on Peyton Manning proved to be the NFL's best, disarming the highest scoring offense in league history. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
Round 4 fixtures of the Fiji Sun Skipper Tuna National League has been released. Only 3 Super Premier games will be played this weekend. Navoa needs a win against Nandi, so too will Atoka over current NSL leader Suva, with the only youth league game scheduled to be played on Sunday. That is your sports for this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
The Reserve Bank of Fiji says the Fijian economic growth likely to surpass the 3% envisaged for this year, achieved largely on account of the government's expansionary budget. RBF says domestic outcomes are positive thanks to consumption and investment activity. On the industrial front, sugar production grew by 16.2%, while electricity production showed broad economic activity. Visitor arrivals in the first 9 months of last year also rose by 0.4%. Foreign reserves are around $1.76 billion at end of January, enough to cover 4 months of imports. Just as mentioned yesterday, there was rain in some parts of the country today. Suva had showers throughout the day. Nandi, Lautoka and Ba had fine weather this morning, but by the afternoon there were cloudy periods. Savu-Savu and Lambasa had showers in the morning, but by 3 p.m. there was fine weather. Nandi, Savu-Savu and Lambasa all recorded 31 degrees on the temperature chart, the highest for the day. The lowest was Ba, recording 29 degrees on the chart. For tomorrow, Nandi, Lautoka and Ba can expect fine weather in the morning and showers in the afternoon. Suva and Savu-Savu will be cloudy the whole day, and Lambasa will have fine weather in the morning and showers by the afternoon. Outlook for Wednesday, some showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands, fine apart from afternoon or evening showers elsewhere. Recapping the headlines, Prime Minister hints at the foundation of his political movement. People's Democratic Party has no manifesto, and fire destroys courts warehouse in Lautoka. Onto our poll results from last week, we asked, did the Fiji Sevens players give their 100% at the Las Vegas tournament? 71% said no, 29% said yes. This week's question, we're asking, should smoke detectors be compulsory in all houses? Visit the FBC website to answer. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your stories at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's all from the newsroom tonight. Until tomorrow, good night.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा सा।
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tauba में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम वहीं के लिए लंबासा में रहता है। तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है।
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.